Hey everybody, it's the King of Koopas here. And it is snowing! So, as you probably just read from the title, for once I'm going to do an actual serious New Year's reflection. And hopefully you can hear me over the sound of the wind. So, when we rolled into the New Year's, in 2017, I said to myself that 2017 was going to be a year of change. I didn't know what, where, when, or if it was even going to be good change. But I knew there was going to be change. And boy, I couldn't have been more correct. A lot of things happened to both me and the world. So let's talk about me here quickly. A lot happened to me this year. So let's start with the good. My work's been going really good. I've gained a lot of respect from my bosses. I actually got a raise at my job for the first time in my life, which, yeah, it wasn't much, but it felt good. I've never had that happen before. I've never worked at a job where I legitimately feel like I'm wanted there, and that I'm respected. My pinball hobby continues to grow. I finished up Wildcard, and my third project, Hotshot, is currently set up that we got playing just before Christmas. Actually, at one point where I had all three machines going at once, it honestly made that hobby worth it. I finally got over my issues with the girl that I tried asking out. After almost a year of just having on and off depression spurts, I'm finally over it, and I'm still good friends with her. And in talk of her, she now has a new potential boyfriend. I say potential because he's acting like an idiot, but that's another story for another time. I made friends with someone from the security company, which was really refreshing, as I have a lot of trouble making IRL friends due to my social awkwardness. So I'm glad that worked out. And I am currently still bullshit with them all the time. Still trying to do things with them, though. The poor guy's about as overworked as my boss. Probably the biggest thing that happened this year is that me and my buddy from California finally met up with each other. After talking about it for almost 3 years, I finally had him up for 2 weeks. And it was honestly one of the funnest 2 weeks I've had in a very, very long time. Very tiring from being around someone for 2 weeks, as just comes with being an introvert. But it was fun. And I really hope that he enjoyed himself just as much as I did. And it was really nice to know that this guy I've been talking to for 3 years is just as awesome in real life as he is over the internet. But of course, all change isn't good. Some change is bad. And so let's go to the bad. This isn't so much a change as it is I just wanted to rant that I screwed up the playfield on my third pinball machine on Hotshot, which was honestly some of the most stressful months that I've had in a while. It's like destroying an antique. It's just not nice. But thankfully I was able to recover something, though hopefully I hope to redo it one day. Probably the biggest negative change in my life, though. My whole life that might have happened at this point has been with my oldest IRL friend. My friend of 14 years. Me and him had a falling out, unfortunately. What I thought, at least, was going to be a petty squabble that after a week both of us would be laughing about. I guess it was the straw that broke the camel's back. And even though I'd take him back in a heartbeat, I think he's pretty much disowned me. It's been rough. I'm still trying to work my feelings out over that. It's hard. I value every friend that I ever make. And every friend that I make, I take a bullet for without even thinking. So to have my oldest and most cherished friend just disown me over honestly pretty petty bullshit is both disheartening and disappointing. I can only conclude that our friendship wasn't as strong as I thought it was, and this was all it took to completely break it. Oh well. Hopefully, by the time it's posted, he gets his Christmas present, which I got as one last hurrah, one last thank you for being my friend for so long. But change didn't just happen in 2017, of course. Change happened in the real world as well. With the election of Donald Trump, the world is more divided and freaking ready to explode than it's ever been. Now, I'm not going to go into politics, because politics just causes anger. But I've never seen modern society just so divided, so ready to blow up. And I don't feel like this is anything new. I feel like everything that's happened now has been tensions that have been building for years and years and years. And unfortunately, the right catalyst got into office and just set the whole fucking thing off. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. At least from what I understand, we're finally starting to get a foothold on ISIS, which is good. About damn time. Though there's a lot of tension with the whole refugee and immigrant situation, and I worry that that even in Canada here, for accepting as we are of other races and immigrants and refugees alike, I feel that the tensions are simply just going to explode, and even we're going to start facing the same issues that are happening down in the States, maybe on a worse scale. I don't agree with a lot of with letting all these refugees into our country, at least not as easily as they are. But I don't despise them. I don't just assume that because they come from that part of the world that they're all terrorists. But I'm worried that there's enough people that are going to think that. And tensions are just going to get worse. I'm sure there's many other things that have changed this year that I'm not even thinking of. You know, being 4 o'clock in the morning right now and being out in negative, 10-degree weather, snowing. But I gotta say, this year has been very refreshing. It has had so many ups and downs with me. And it's been one of the most eventful years I've ever had in my life. And that's a good thing. I always, for the longest time, even years ago, thought my life was just going to be a boringless drab of getting up, eating, sleeping, playing games, and going to sleep. And even though some of the changes aren't good, I'm glad some change is happening. And I think change is going to happen again next year. I might not even be living at home by next year. At least, that's the hope. I know this hasn't been the most interesting video, the most well-recorded video, or the best planned video. But I just kind of wanted to share my thoughts on the year. I think it was a good year. A lot of people joked about how 2016 and 2017 were all just bad. There were all these deaths and all this drama. But I think overall, I think it's a good thing that a lot of what happened has happened now. Because I firmly believe that the longer we let things go, the worse it's just going to get. So, I'm glad that these things are happening now, as opposed to years from now, when tensions could boil to the point where there's nothing that can stop it. I don't believe we're at the tipping point yet. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope this has been at least somewhat interesting to someone. May you have a very happy new year. Wish you good tidings. And here's to another year. King Koopas, signing out. Our Prime Minister is completely worthless as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to just cut that whole part before I even get into that.